very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Stephen Machado.
And I'm Rochelle Tamoda. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
President updates Parliament on international security cooperation.
American එක්සත් ජනපදයේ අපිට TH-57 වර්ගයේ හෙලිකොප්ටර් 10ක් 2026 දී ආධාරයක් ලෙස ලබා දෙන්න එකඟතාවය පළ කරලා තිබෙනවා. C-130 වර්ගයේ ගුවන් යානා දෙකක් ඇමරිකන් එක්සත් ජනපදයේ සහ ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාව 2026 සහ 27 වර්ෂයේ අපිට ලබා දෙන්න එකඟතාවය පළ කරලා තිබෙනවා.
No room for racism again. President stresses. Calls for report on Trincomalee incident. Was the Trincomalee tension triggered by cafe demolition? GMOA seeks NAMA's intervention to resolve issues. Opposition slammed for blocking budget and hindering village development. NPP secures control of Sitavaka Council. Sarvajana MP backs government.
In a top story this evening, President Anurukumar Dissanayake said that his government's objective is to transform the country's armed forces into a military equipped with modern technological tools. The president made this remark while delivering the response after the budget debate on the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Defence and the Ministry of Public Security.
අපි පෞගේ කාලේ අපේ හමුදාව ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණය කිරීම අපේ ජාත්‍යන්තර සහාය විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. මට ගෞරවයක් ඇටියට මෙතන කියන්න කැමතියි. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඉන්දියාවෙන් අපිට
In recent times, we have received international support in a large way to modernize our military. I want to mention this at this time as a mark of respect to those countries. India has provided us with approximately 70 jeeps as well as technical expertise. A proposal was made to secure aid in other ways to modernize the Sri Lankan military. At the same time, the United States of America will be providing us with 10 TH-57 helicopters. I must also mention that the United States of America and Australia have agreed to provide us with C-130 aircraft in 2026 and 2027. The C-130 aircraft is very important for our Air Force. Therefore, the United States and Australia will be providing those two aircrafts to Sri Lanka. We have already received Beechcrafts from the United States of America and Australia, namely the KA-360 and the KA-350. Our helicopter fleet has weakened. We will be receiving 10 new helicopters, and tenders have already been called to repair the existing fleet of helicopters. We will be establishing a modern and efficient military in the country.
ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණය කිරීම සඳහා විද ටෙන්ඩර් කැඳවලා සියල්ල සකස් කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි තාමත් හොඳ නූතන කාර්යක්ෂමතාව යුතු හමුදාවක් අපි ඇති කරනවා. ඒක අපේ වගකීම කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
The president also spoke about delivering justice.
ඒ වගේම මම කියන්න කැමතියි
When you speak about the issue of reconciliation, we are addressing this matter in a four-phase program that is interconnected. The first is seeking the truth. We need to know exactly what happened. Then comes the exploration of justice. We will not back down in delivering justice against the crimes that have been committed. Certain members of the Sri Lanka Navy face allegations with regard to the abduction and enforced disappearance and murder of 11 youth. So what needs to be done? In order to protect the dignity of the Sri Lanka Navy, we must investigate this incident and prosecute those responsible. The investigations have already taken place. Some can even go to courts and seek relief to prevent the arrest. We will pave the way for that. However, we will conduct the investigations in an extremely transparent manner and prosecute those who are responsible. I request that this not be interpreted as prosecuting war heroes. Certain elements of the military intelligence are facing allegations linked to various assassinations. We need to understand that. However, the general public must have faith in the dignity and the honor of these intelligence services. Some of these incidents are not new to the country and some international organizations. Therefore, it is our responsibility to ensure that these institutions are turned into more credible institutions in the eyes of the people and the international community. We have launched several investigations. We are investigating the assassination of Lasantha Vikramatunga. It is not an easy task after 17 years. Then Wasim Tajuddin's murder. The investigations are being conducted to a point Some Navy officers need to be questioned. They must be questioned. Should we not look for the wrongdoers? It has been confirmed on the report submitted to court that this was a murder. It was not a natural death. So should we not investigate this? We will do it. When we conduct investigations, if someone gets caught, don't go around saying that we are hunting war heroes. We will establish professionalism and the respect for our armed forces in the country. Then the Easter Sunday attack. I saw many people speaking about it here. The investigations are ongoing. We need evidence to prove this in court. That is why the investigation is being conducted. That is what is being collected. The connection between the murderers and those who orchestrated it must be proved. That is being investigated. After this incident happened in April, they were in power for 6 months until November. When the issue was fresh, they couldn't solve it. What happened after that? Power transfer to those who are suspected of being involved in the murders. After they got power, much of the evidence was covered up. Papers have been torn in books. In the recent days, every murder that was committed in the country, we have nabbed the murderers within 3 days. They removed all officers from the CID. Shani Abhisekar was put in jail. These were the officers investigating the incident. They changed the investigating officers. I have a lot of faith in our team investigating the matter. They will conduct these investigations properly and bring the wrongdoers to justice.
What's happening in Trincomalee? Allegations of police attempting to remove a Buddha statue have sparked controversy. This is a special revelation on the unfolding situation.
The dispute stems from a land issue involving the Sri Sambuddhatva Jayanti Bodhi Raj Vihara located along Kotor Road in Trincomalee. The land lies adjacent to the scenic Trincomalee beach. In recent days, a temporary structure was erected on this site and a Buddha statue was placed there, triggering a heated controversy.
What really started this dispute?
According to the temple's chief monk and its Dayaka Sabha, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa granted this land to the temple in 2014 through a deed of donation. Currently, the property hosts a business named Dutch Bay Coffee, launched in 2023 by LT Pereira, who is a relative of Deepani Liyanage, the UNP Trincomalee electorate organizer. Deepani Liyanage, her relative and others reportedly initiated this business with the approval of the temple's donor committee. Revenue from the cafe has been used to cover temple expenses, including electricity bills.
This coffee shop was started in April 2023 with the temple's consent and approval from all relevant authorities. We obtained every permit required. Suddenly, the Coast Conservation Department informed us that the permit was cancelled and ordered us to remove the structure. There's no reason for removal because everything was done legally.
On the 4th November, the Urban Development Authority notified the cafe owner that the structure was unauthorized and must be removed. However, after discussions with the chief monk, officials granted a 7-day grace period.
After the 2004 tsunami, no one came forward to rebuild this temple. A few donors pooled resources to construct a small shop, and the income from that is what we use to develop the temple. We fenced the land to protect it. Today we decided to remove a cafe and 3 boundary stones near the Trincomalee coastal area. The chief monk requested 7 days, so we postponed enforcement. We've asked for police protection and will proceed on the 8th day.
As the grace period neared its end, construction began about 50 meters from the cafe site. It was claimed to be a Dhamma school building, but later a Buddha statue was installed there. The statue was placed by a group including Venerable Balangoda Kassapatera and Dulara Gunathilaka, who came from Kadavata. Dulara represents several organizations and previously served as a media secretary to a minister during the final phase of the Yahapalana government. Tensions flared the previous night when police allegedly attempted to remove the Buddha statue. By noon yesterday, the statue had been reinstated at the site. Meanwhile, the temple has filed a writ petition in the Court of Appeal seeking an order to prevent demolition of any part of the temple premises. It was filed by Chief Incumbent of the Sri Sambuddhatva Jayanti Bodhi Raja Vihara, Venerable Trikunamale Kalyana Vansa Tissa Thera. The petition names the Director General of the Coast Conservation Department, the Secretary to the Ministry of Environment and the Minister of Environment as respondents. The petition states that the Trincomalee Urban Council issued a letter confirming no objection to developing the land identified as 57/TG belonging to the temple. It also notes that demolition orders were issued by the Director General of the Coast Conservation Department on the 25th June and 18th July 2025 and that an appeal to the Secretary to the Environment Ministry was rejected without prior consultation. The petition argues that the construction does not violate coastal regulations and that the demolition order is illegal, arbitrary and motivated by malice. During this period, NPP MP Roshan Akmimana held discussions with the district Shasana Rakshaka Mandalaya and state officials. He later posted on Facebook, quote,
A small group attempted to infiltrate Trincomalee and ignite ethnic tensions. The people of Trincomalee, who still bear the scars of past communal flames, defeated this attempt. Even before coming to power, we fought to extinguish the fires that once burned here. And under a National People's Power government, we will never allow such divisive conspiracies to rekindle. I extend my deepest respect and gratitude to the Secretary of the District Shasana Rakshaka Mandalaya and the senior monks who intervened to thwart this plot. I am proud of the people of Trincomalee who stood firm against efforts to break harmony. I am equally proud of the Sinhala and Tamil brothers and sisters who refused to fall prey to the provocations of racist politicians seeking to turn this incident into an ethnic clash.
End quote. During the discussion, consensus was reached to retain the Buddha statue on temple-owned land and to identify and properly demarcate the boundaries of the temple premises, including areas where old structures once stood.
Venerable Galagodathe Gnanasaruthero, who arrived in Trincomalee this morning, issued a serious warning.
Several opposition MPs raised concerns over the incident reported in Trincomalee, describing it as a serious threat to Buddhism in Parliament today. Among those who spoke were Sajid Premadasa, Nalin Bandara, Nama Rajapaksa, Dayasiri Jayasekara and Rohita Begunawardana.
Following orders from above, the Buddha statue has been removed, pushing the monks and the ceremonial parasols aside and assaulting the monks. It is said that the Buddha statue was placed elsewhere. I heard in the morning that it's being brought back. What are these stories? What right do you have to remove the Buddha statue? They have realized their mistake and brought it back and replaced it. We believe that a National Integration Committee should be established. The police do not have the right to go inside temples and beat up monks. At this time, I would like to remind that under the rule of law, priority should be given to protecting other religions as well, and proper places and due respect must be provided for them. This is a Sinhala Buddhist country. When the two hands are folded, one is the race and the other is the religion. We love that. If this continues, we will eventually have to turn the police into a temple. Security will have to be provided to all the Buddha statues. Honorable Chairman, did you arrest the two who beat up the monks? Did you arrest the two who attacked the monks? Now the minister is saying that he went to save the Buddha statue. An MP says that the SJB is entertaining drama in the Pahotua. If the drama of the SLPP and the SJB is entertaining it, the JVP is acting in it. Because the government is theirs and not us. They're taking away the Buddha statue and attacking the monks. The closed ceremonial parasols was damaged and it was used to beat up the monks. We have all the videos. I will send them to you if you want. The minister came in the morning and said, Honorable President, I am saying this because you are listening. Then this process, I say, is a mistake that happened to this government. Somehow a mistake has happened here. Because if the minister comes the next morning and says, Honorable President, we took the Buddha statue for protection, then who is cutting the fence that was put up, enclosing the temple, surrounding and covering the Buddha statue? The police. It is the police who cut it and are taking the Buddha statue away.
මේ පන්සලේ තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඇයි මේ වගේ වැඩක් කළා මොකටද අවශ්‍යකත්ති මේ?
The President spoke in Parliament about the situation.
මේ ප්‍රශ්නේදී දැනටමත් මම අමත් ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්තුමා මහජන ආරක්ෂක පිළිබඳ ලේකම්තුමාට කිව්වා නිශ්චිත.
On this matter, I have already instructed the Secretary of Public Security to specifically report to us and to submit a report on what exactly happened. A report has been called for. The Minister of Public Security, regarding this security matter, the argument brought about bringing the Buddha statue for its protection. There is a note entered in the logbook of the relevant police station in Trincomalee at 11:40 on the day of the incident regarding moving the statue to the police. On that note, which is entered in the book, it is very clearly stated that the statue was brought there for security purposes. The next issue arose between the police and certain nationalist groups. This was the perfect opportunity for them. That is why the statue was reinstated and security was provided. Now the matter is before the courts. Yesterday, a discussion was held at the district secretariat where it was confirmed that there is an old deed from 2013 or 2014 granting this land to the temple. Yes, there is a permit, but the reality is that this land has not been used as a temple in recent times. It has been operating as a cafe. The dispute began over unauthorized construction related to that cafe. The Director General of the Coast Conservation Department issued an order to remove those illegal structures. An appeal was filed with the Environment Ministry, but the Secretary upheld the decision to remove them. Later, during a discussion with the police, Coast Conservation Department and Urban Development Authority, the monks requested a 1-week grace period, which was granted. That period expired on the 14th, and by the 16th, this incident erupted. So now, beyond the question of a religious site, other motives seem evident. After the court issued its order, our position is clear. The land allocated to the temple remains, and any future work must comply with legal procedures. The court has ordered no new constructions and allowed the Buddha statue to remain. So why is this still being stirred up? The truth is, some groups are trying to exploit this as an opportunity to ignite communal flames. Like setting fire to Hanuman's tail, they want to spread that fire everywhere.
The President further commented that he will not allow racism to take root again in Sri Lanka.
අපි තාමත් ශක්තිමත් ස්ථාවර මම පසුවත් කියන්නම් මේ ජාතිවාදීන් නම් ඉඩ දෙන්නේ. ඒකේ හැම මහත්යම තේරුම් ගන්න. මම නෙවෙයි.
Let me be clear. We stand firm. There will be no space for nationalism. Every citizen must understand this. Not just me, but the Buddhist community, the Hindu, Catholic and Muslim communities too. No one will allow racism to take root again. Anyone trying to revive old ethnic dramas will only succeed in writing history, not shaping the present or the future.
ඒ මාතෘ හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. ඒක වර්තමානයක් නෙවෙයි ඒක අනාගතයක් නෙවෙයි.
This was the explanation given by the Minister of Public Security.
At this point, a detailed report has already been submitted under BR 1784-1 PC25 to the court. The magistrate has issued an order for the monks and the donor committee present to record statements verifying the authenticity of the documents. The case has been scheduled to be recalled on the 25th of November 2026, and until then an order has been issued not to alter or further develop the temporary structure that was built. Yesterday, all parties, including our respected senior monks, public representatives, the Deputy Inspector General of Police and donor committee officials held discussions and reached consensus on this matter. The District Secretary has also intervened to act on the complaint received from the Coast Conservation Department and to mark the boundaries accordingly. Unfortunately, some are exploiting this incident for political gain, while others are attempting to stir up nationalism and religious extremism. The National People's Power Government will never allow any citizen of this country to face injustice, nor will we permit anyone to incite racism or derive narrow benefits from such acts.
කිසිසේත්ම මේ රටේ කිසිදු පුරවැසියෙකුට අසාධාරණයක් වෙන්න ඉඩ කඩ තියන්නේ නැහැ. කිසිසේත්ම ජාතිවාද අවසන්ඩෝජේ පටු ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න කිසිදු ඉඩ කඩක් නැහැ.
Do you remember the statements made from time to time to create issues among the general public of the country? This is a reminder on such an instance. These were the statements made in Trincomalee today by the very individuals who attempted to tarnish the image of Dr. Safi Sahabdin, who was acquitted by the court. We all know that Safi Sahabdin is accused of genocide, which has created a stir not only nationally but also internationally. He is also accused of money laundering. He is also allegedly a close associate or member of an Islamic extremist group operating not only in Sri Lanka but across the world. He is a suspect. He is an individual who violated ethics of the medical profession. He has performed about 8,000 caesarean sections at the Kurunegala hospital. Following these caesarean sections, patients have reported that they were unable to have more children or give birth again. Today, the Buddhist monasteries and temples in the north and east have been severely affected by the Tamil separatist movement. The government is turning a blind eye on this. Today, in the north and east, the Tamil separatist movement is destroying Buddhist temples and creating unrest, while the police are helpless. These people want the Sambudatra Bodhiraja temple removed from this area. Destroy the archaeological value here. A major attack is being launched against Buddhist temples today. The police in the north and east are helpless in this situation.
බෞද්ධ වේර විහාරස්ථාන වලට විරුද්ධව විශාල ප්‍රහාරයක් අද එල්ල වෙනවා. මෙතෙන්දි උතුරු නැගෙනහිර දෙපළාතේ අද මාලිමා පොලිසිය අප්‍රාණිකයි.
An elderly couple was gunned down earlier this evening in Unakurwa.
A shocking double homicide was reported this evening in Kapurena, Unakurua, when an elderly couple was gunned down inside their shop. Police spokesperson SP F.U. Woodler confirmed that the shooting occurred at around 6:30 p.m. The victims have been identified as a 68-year-old man and a 59-year-old woman. According to police, the attack was carried out using a pistol. As the situation in Trincomalee unfolds, the Government Medical Officers Association met with Namal Rajapaksa, National Organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, to discuss their ongoing trade union action.
The GMOA launched this trade union action yesterday morning, refusing to write prescriptions for medicines that patients must purchase outside government hospitals. Doctors alleged that the latest budget failed to address their concerns, prompting them to resort to this measure. In addition to medicines, doctors have now stopped recommending medical tests to be conducted outside hospitals. Today, during a meeting at the party office on Nilum Mawatha Battaramulla, GMOA representatives shared their views with MP Namal Rajapaksa.
When a patient comes to the hospital and we write a prescription, if tears fill up in their eyes and they say, "Sir, I don't have the means to buy these medicines," then we must ask whether the goal of free healthcare is truly being met. The responsibility lies with the Ministry of Health and its officials. The failure of the authorities to take timely action has led to innocent patients facing these hardships.
The GMOA's remarks today came against the backdrop of President's assurance yesterday that their demands would be considered in the future. Currently, patients are under severe strain as doctors refuse to prescribe medicines and recommend tests that are unavailable within hospitals.
මෙහෙම පීඩාවට පත් වෙන්න නම් හොඳ නෑ මිනිස්සු. සාමාන්‍ය මිනිස්සු නේ මෙතෙන් දෙන්නේ වෙන තැනකට යන්න බෑනේ සල්ලි තියෙන අය වගේ නෙවෙයිනේ. බලාගෙන යනකොට එළියෙන් කරන දේවල් හරි ප්‍රසන්න නෑ කියන එක තමයි මට නම් කියන්න තියෙන්නේ. බලධාරීන්ට කියන්නේ කොහොම හරි මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳලා ඉවරලා ජනතාවට සෙසක් කරලා දෙන්න කියලා වෙලා.
At today's cabinet briefing, the Minister of Health also clarified the government's position regarding the demands of the Government Medical Officers Association.
We inherited a country that was not overflowing with resources, but one that had officially declared bankruptcy on the 12th of April 2022. The Ministry of Health in particular was left with partially constructed buildings and limited facilities. Therefore, providing these resources will take some time. In line with the economic recovery, we will offer every possible facility to retain professionals in the country. We have already issued permits earlier, but even with permits, importing vehicles was not feasible. Moving forward, we will provide all possible benefits step by step. For instance, we granted a salary increase last April. As Health Minister, I am ready to engage in discussions with them and set timelines for these measures. That's why I believe this trade union action will end soon, because ultimately it is our vulnerable patients who suffer the most.
Newsfirst with the people.
Organised protests are spreading as citizens express strong opposition to joint effort by opposition parties to defeat local council budgets, which they claim will stall development projects intended for the people.
Recently, the Uvapalanagama Pradesh Sabha's budget was defeated by a coalition of opposition parties. In response, residents of Katugalawatta held a ritual protest at a temple, breaking coconuts and praying for justice.
පෞගේ සතියේ ඌවපරණම ප්‍රාදේශ සභාවේ අයවැය පරාද කර සම්බන්ධව අපේ දැඩි විරුද්ධත්වයේ අපි පොල් ගාලා දෙවියන්ට ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරන පක්ෂයේ භංග වේවා.
හොඳම යෝජනා කීපයක් තිබුණා ගමේ සංවර්ධනය ඒ වගේම වතු වල සංවර්ධනය සඳහා සියලුම විපක්ෂයේ සියලු දෙනා ලෑස්තිලා එන අයවැය යෝජනා පරාද කරා ඒ සම්බන්ධව වතුකම්වර වශයෙන් අපි දැඩිසේ විරුද්ධත් වෙනවා දැඩිසේ හෙලා දකිනවා කොමිස් කුට්ටියට යට වෙච්ච සුළු විපක්ෂය අදත් කොමිස් කුට්ටියටම යට වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා අපිට පේනවා.
ඇත්තටම අපිට අපහසු ගම්මානයක් මේක. අපේ ළමයි උදේට ඉස්කෝලේට යන්න ගියාම රහි කාලෙට යන්න තියෙන මඩේ ඒ පාරවල් තොටවල් හදන්න මීට කලින් තිබුණු රජාවල් වලින් සහන පාස් වෙන්න ඇති. නමුත් ඒවා මොන මාර්ගයෙන්ද මන් දන්නේ ඒක අපිට නැති වෙලා ගිහින් තියෙනවා. අද අපේ ගමේ සංවර්ධනයේ අත්හිට වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපේ ළමයිට යන්න දෙන්න පාරවල් තොටවල් වල පහසුකමක් නැහැ. වතුර ටිකක් නැහැ. ඒ හැම දෙයක්ම මේ පහුගිය රජවල් වලින් මේ දේවල් යටපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒවා අපිට ඉස්සරහට මේ රජයෙන් ලබා දෙයි කියන බලාපොරොත්තුවෙන් අපේ උපරිම සහයෝගය ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒක මොන මාර්ගයෙන්ද මන් දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා නැති වෙන්න යනවා.
Meanwhile, the Panduvasnura Pradesh Sabha budget controlled by the National People's Power was also defeated by the opposition alliance.
මේකට පාර හදන්න මුදල් දාලා තිබුණා. ඒක මේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ මේක නැති කරන්න කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ පාරවල් අපිට කවද්ද හදලා දෙන්නේ? කිසිම කෙනෙක් මේ පාර අත තියලා නැහැ. දැන් මේ පාර හදන්න පාරවල් කීපයක අර මුදල් මේ පාරට යොදවලා පාර්ලිමේන්තු සභාවේ අයවැයට මේ ඇතුළත් කරලා තිබුණේ. දැන් අපේ ආරාධනාවට මම දන්නා දැන් අයවැයත් පරාජය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
Although 6 months have passed since the conclusion of the local government elections, the Sitavaka Pradesh Sabha, which had been unable to establish power, finally saw the control being secured today by the National People's Power. The NPP had won 23 seats, while 24 seats were held by opposition parties. On several occasions, the council failed to appoint a chairman due to the inability to maintain a quorum. At today's meeting, a vote was taken to decide whether the election of the chairman should be conducted through a secret ballot. During this process, opposition members once again walked out of the council. However, Sarvajana Bale member Chandana Mudunkotua remained in the chamber but did not cast a vote. Accordingly, P.K. Premaratna of the National People's Power was appointed as the chairman of the Sitavaka Pradesh Sabha. Meanwhile, the Sarvajana Bale party has taken necessary disciplinary actions against the MP who was present in the Pradesh Sabha.
I want to record this today in Parliament. This disgraceful act committed at the Sitavaka Pradesh Sabha. The government party bribed our MP, Chandana Mudunkotua, an innocent poor man, and used him to form the council. This is the lowest form of politics I have ever seen. We've never expected such dirty politics from this government. Last weekend, I was with him. Just last week, he was brought in a vehicle belonging to the chairman, given police protection, and used for this shameful act. This is the kind of two-faced politics this government practices.
තුට්ටු දෙකේ වැඩ කරන පක්ෂයක් ආණ්ඩුවක් තමයි අද තියෙන්නේ. සල්ලි වලට ගත්තලු කියලා තුච්ච විදියට. මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ?
They claim he was bribed. What nonsense. What's really happening is that the opposition is conspiring to sabotage local councils. They are joining forces to defeat the budget. Who are they hurting? The people in those areas. For years, local authorities were plagued by corruption. We are trying to steer them in the right direction. And they oppose it. Fine, let's go for an election. Let's hold local government polls and see what happens. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa celebrated his 80th birthday today.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was greeted by groups of well-wishers at his Carlton residence this morning, with foreign diplomats among those extending their wishes.
Yes.
Rajapaksa's political journey spans decades. Appointed as the Sri Lanka Freedom Party organizer for the Beliate electorate in 1968, he entered parliament on the 27th May 1970, becoming the youngest MP at the time. A stalwart of the SLFP and a key figure in strengthening coalition politics, Rajapaksa has served as leader of the opposition, cabinet minister, prime minister, and twice as the executive president of Sri Lanka. His presidency is remembered for the decisive end to terrorism, a defining moment in the nation's history. Though defeated in a subsequent presidential election, Rajapaksa remains active in politics today, leading the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
Sri Lanka has secured a $300 million ADB lifeline to power its economy and tourism sector.
Sri Lanka has signed 3 major loan agreements with the Asian Development Bank totaling $300 million aimed at strengthening financial stability, macroeconomic resilience and sustainable tourism development. The agreements were signed on Monday at the Treasury in Colombo by Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and Takafumi Kadona, Country Director of ADB Sri Lanka Resident Mission. Under the deal, Sri Lanka will receive funding through 2 policy-based loans and 1 combined policy-based loan and investment loan. The Financial Sector Stability and Reforms Program will receive $100 million designed to complete multi-year structural reforms and strengthen the regulatory capacity of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This program focuses on banking sector stability, governance and inclusive finance. Strengthening macroeconomic resilience and transparency program will receive $100 million. This supports macroeconomic stabilization and public financial management reforms, including improved expenditure management, resource mobilization and private sector participation. Sustainable tourism sector development will also receive $100 million. This includes $70 million for policy reforms and $30 million for investment projects to enhance tourism infrastructure in Trincomalee and Dambulla, manage congestion and boost regional economic contributions.
Russian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Levan Zagarian, has hailed the resilience and bilateral relations between the two nations, highlighting strong trade and tourism links despite mounting international sanctions on Moscow. Speaking on the state of cooperation, Ambassador Zagarian revealed that trade between Russia and Sri Lanka reached $640 million last year, with Ceylon tea continuing to dominate Russian shelves.
As to our bilateral relations, cooperation in trade, of course we are very grateful for you, for your efforts. Despite problems, despite sanctions, you managed to get very good results. And if I'm not mistaken, last year the trade volume between our countries was about $640 million. And we're very happy to see, first of all, Ceylon tea in Russian shops in my country. It's very popular, very popular. And also we're very happy to see a lot of Russian tourists in your country. As you know, maybe for last 6 months, since May till October, direct flights between Russia and Sri Lanka was suspended. But as of 1st of October, we have resumed direct flights to Matala Airport and to Colombo Airport, and now you can witness a lot of Russians coming here. It's one of the best destinations for Russians here in Sri Lanka.
The ambassador was speaking at the 22nd annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka-Russia Business Council in Colombo.
We see a potential to expand collaboration in technology transfer, renewable energy, the logistics and joint manufacturing ventures, aligning with both nations' economic priorities. Looking ahead, Council's strategic focus will be on deepening business-to-business connections through digital trade missions and hybrid events, encouraging SME participation in export trade to Russia and Eurasian markets, promoting Sri Lanka as a hub for high-value, ethnically produced and under-recognized international standards, supporting tourism promotion, capitalizing on Russian continued ranking among Sri Lanka's top 5 inbound tourist markets.
The event brought together senior representatives from the Embassy of the Russian Federation, government officials and prominent members of the Sri Lankan business community.
Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. Anil Jayantha stressed on the importance of collaboration, ethical conduct and human resource development as the cornerstone of the government's transformative agenda. He was speaking at the CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards held in Colombo.
CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards competition is organized annually by the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka, which is the National Professional Management Accounting Institute in Sri Lanka.
In Sri Lanka, you may have different interpretation about our government. You may have different understanding about the government. It is another government in general, but truly we have embarked in this particular journey with the noble objective, the sacred objective of transforming this society to a better place. In that journey, the cooperation really matters. Cooperation really matters for a good cause. But we know that being individuals, to a great extent, we are driven by our own emotion, egoism, and the personal interest to a great extent. But when it comes to accounting, reporting, cooperations, of course, cooperation matters. To find answers to lots of questions, especially within the Sri Lankan political context, even at global level, if you take nowadays, we talk about, apart from the general issues, at global level, we talk about climate change issues, sustainability issues and all. Even when it comes to these areas, we may see that we will have our solution at our individual or the local levels. But it is hard to find solutions within the domestic levels. The answers to the big questions at this moment are at global level. And that depends on cooperation, collaborations, and ethical conduct and partnerships. We strongly believe, among the other things, other strategies, our policies related to investments and policy making in other areas. And we strongly believe in one key element, that is none other than the power of human resource. So that is why among the different steps and initiatives that we take in our government policies, we have placed the human resource as one of the key fundamentals of overcoming the challenges that we face in this world and in pursuit of transforming this particular society to a better place.
The Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards aim to encourage both listed and unlisted Sri Lankan companies as well as state-owned institutions to adopt integrated reporting practices that benefit investors and stakeholders.
A Sri Lanka-India Agricultural Technology Exchange Program took place in Peradeniya, bringing together officials, experts and industry representatives from both nations to advance collaboration in agricultural modernization.
Director General of Agriculture at the Ministry of Plantation and Community Infrastructure, Dr. Tushara Wickramarachchi highlighted Sri Lanka's lag in agricultural mechanization.
In Sri Lanka, when maybe you are having I have seen somewhere it is 4.5 million tractors. In Sri Lanka, it's nearly 0.2 million tractors. That also reflects our level of the mechanization. But thing is, we should appreciate that young faces from the Indian delegation who are involved in the agriculture mechanization, maybe manufacturing, maybe marketing, maybe exporting. That is a good sign. In Sri Lanka also, we should be happy that many young entrepreneurs are coming towards the agriculture investment. Then there is a huge the potential for us to develop agriculture mechanization sector in Sri Lanka, but we need a kind of technical collaboration like countries like India.
Addressing the event, Deputy High Commissioner of India in Kandy, V.S. Saranya, said agriculture remains the backbone of both economies.
India has traditionally been among the Sri Lanka's largest trade partners. India is also one of the largest contributor of FDI in Sri Lanka, with a cumulative of more than $3 billion till 2024. India's development cooperation with Sri Lanka stands out as one of the most important pillars of our bilateral relationship. India's overall credit assistance to Sri Lanka amounts more than $5 billion, including concessional loans, deferment of payment and swap agreements, and we are ready to strengthen it further. Our Prime Minister says that economic and trade partnerships are the engines of any bilateral relationship. Last but not the least, if there are positive stories, let the world know. If there are not so positive stories and you are into a difficulty, let us know. We'll be happy to provide all the support, whatever we can do.
Several major websites, including X and OpenAI's ChatGPT, were inaccessible to users as web traffic management giant Cloudflare reported a disruption in its services worldwide.
On its live status page, Cloudflare said it is experiencing an internal service degradation which could cause some of its services to be intermittently impacted. In a following update, Cloudflare said it was seeing services recover, but customers may continue to observe higher than normal error rates as we continue remediation efforts, adding that it was continuing to investigate this issue. Several major websites use Cloudflare to manage internet traffic and prevent targeted cyber attacks. Meanwhile, lead information security engineer at Sri Lanka CERT, Charuka Damunupula, provided a clarification on the matter.
A significant technical failure hit the Cloudflare global network. Cloudflare is a critical internet infrastructure provider, mainly its component including the content delivery network. Because of this major issue, led to a widespread 500 internal server errors across the internet. In terms of impact, mainly this impact was felt worldwide by services that rely on Cloudflare mainly for speed and security. If you look at the global platforms affected, include mainly the social media platforms X, formerly known as Twitter, and also the platforms, AI-related platforms, including the OpenAI services, which uses ChatGPT, and also some of the streaming services, including Spotify, for entertainment, mainly the gaming services, League of Legends, and also some enterprise level and design tools like Canva, Shopify, and Uber was also affected. We confirmed this was mainly due to an internal technical malfunction according to Cloudflare services. And also the Cloudflare has identified the issues, and mainly the remediation is currently underway. As Sri Lanka CERT, we assure the public that our national critical services remain secure. So in terms of this particular experience, we urge the users try accessing these vector services again shortly, mainly as this will be shortly fixed by the Cloudflare services.
Russian drones have reportedly damaged a building housing the Dnipro newsroom of public broadcaster Suspin and Ukrainian radio Dnipro in a major overnight attack on the city.
Vladislav Havanenko, the acting governor of Dnipropetrovsk region, of which Dnipro is the administrative center, said on the Telegram messaging app that Russian drones pounded the region late on Monday, injuring 2 people, sparking several fires and damaging apartment blocks and city infrastructure. Suspin said on the Telegram messaging app that a fire broke out, windows and doors were blown out, and the building's floors and roof were damaged, but no staff were inside at the time. The broadcaster posted a photo showing a gaping hole torn through a building's concrete floors, leaving exposed metal reinforcing bars, dangling wires and collapsed ceiling panels below. Meanwhile, a senior White House official said President Donald Trump is willing to sign legislation to impose sanctions on Russia as long as he retains ultimate decision-making authority over any such measures. Ukraine will obtain up to 100 French-made Rafale warplanes over the next 10 years under a deal signed on Monday, both countries said, as Kyiv seeks to bolster its defenses against Russia's invasion. Air defense systems, munitions and drones were also included in the letter of intent signed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron in front of one of the jets and both their flags. Zelensky told reporters at the event at France's Villeurbanne military airport that, quote, "It will be the greatest air defense, one of the greatest in the world," unquote. The announcement comes after a surge of Russian drone and missile attacks on Ukraine in recent weeks and Moscow's reports of ground advances in the southeastern Zaporizhzhia region.
The UN Security Council voted to adopt a U.S. draft resolution endorsing President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza and authorizing an international stabilization force for the Palestinian enclave.
Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas agreed last month to the first phase of Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, a ceasefire in their 2-year war and a hostage release deal. But the United Nations resolution is seen as vital to legitimizing a transitional governance body and reassuring countries that are considering sending troops to Gaza. The text of the resolution says member states can take part in the Trump-chaired Board of Peace, envisioned as a transitional authority that would oversee reconstruction and economic recovery of Gaza. It also authorizes the International Stabilization Force, which would ensure a process of demilitarizing Gaza, including by decommissioning weapons and destroying military infrastructure. Hamas in a statement reiterated that it will not disarm and argued that its fight against Israel is legitimate resistance, potentially pitting the militant group against the international force authorized by the resolution. Mike Waltz, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, said the resolution, which includes Trump's 20-point plan as an annex, charts a possible pathway for Palestinian self-determination, where rockets will give way to olive branches and there is a chance to agree on a political horizon. Russia, which holds a veto on the Security Council, earlier signaled potential opposition to the resolution, but abstained from the vote, allowing the resolution to pass.
U.S. President Donald Trump will roll out the red carpet for Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for a visit expected to advance the sale of F-35 fighter jets and a host of business deals with the kingdom. It will be the first trip by bin Salman, widely known as MBS, to the US since the 2018 killing of Saudi critic Jamal Khashoggi by Saudi agents in Istanbul, which triggered global outrage. The warm welcome he will receive in Washington is the latest sign that relations have recovered from the deep strain caused by Khashoggi's murder. During a day of White House diplomacy, MBS will hold talks with Trump in the Oval Office, have lunch in the cabinet room and attend a formal black-tie dinner in the evening. Trump hopes to cash in on a $600 billion Saudi investment pledge made during his visit to the kingdom in May.
The first match of the Tri-Series consisting Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe commenced in Rawalpindi today. The series kicked off with Pakistan taking on Zimbabwe. Early in the day, Pakistan won the toss and elected to field first. At the end of the first inning, Zimbabwe posted a total of 147 runs for the loss of 8 wickets, chasing a target of 148 runs. Pakistan are currently on 129 runs for a loss of 5 wickets at the end of 17.4 overs.
Pulls it away, the outfield. He won. Slow ball picked and thumped away.
Pakistan Shaheens crushed the UAE by 9 wickets in the Asia Cup Rising Stars clash.
Pakistan Shaheens continued their dominant run in the Asia Cup Rising Stars 2025 tournament with a resounding 9-wicket victory over the United Arab Emirates in Group B at the West End Park International Cricket Stadium. After winning the toss and electing to bat, UAE struggled against a disciplined Shaheens bowling attack, collapsing for just 59 runs in 18 overs. In reply, Pakistan Shaheens chased down the modest target of 60 runs in just 5.2 overs, finishing at 61 for 1. Mars Sadakat, who was later named the player of the match, smashed an unbeaten 37 off 15 balls. laced with 4 boundaries and 3 sixes, while Gazigori chipped in with 16 not out. Let's now take a look at beautiful Sri Lanka. Horton Plains isn't merely a location. It's one of Sri Lanka's most scenic and ethereal mountainous wildernesses, known in ancient times by names that echo its grandeur, such as Mahalia or Great Clearing, Mahatana, Great Plateau, Bimmantalava, Earth's Terrace, or Gonatana, Samba Deer Plateau. This landscape has captured hearts for centuries. It was in 1836 AC that this captivating land, which draws the eye of both local adventurers and foreign explorers, was formally christened the Horton Plains following the visit of Governor Sir Robert Wilmot Horton. Today, Horton Plains stands as a testament to Sri Lanka's natural wealth, hosting a biodiversity that is truly unique to this high-altitude region. It is a fragile world, rich in endemic life. Beautiful Sri Lanka. And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching.
Good night.